The first time I noticed something was wrong, it was not because of a message, a lipstick stain, or some dramatic late-night phone call. It was the silence. My wife, Emily, used to talk to me about everything. Her day, her coworkers, her problems, her dreams, even the little things that did not matter. But slowly she stopped. She stopped laughing at my jokes. She stopped asking when I would be home. She stopped looking at me like I was her husband. And then one night, while we were sitting across from each other at dinner, her phone lit up on the table. She turned it over so fast that her fork dropped from her hand. I looked at her. She smiled. But it was not a real smile. It was the kind of smile someone gives when they are standing too close to a secret. "Work," she said. I did not say anything. I just nodded. That was the night I stopped trusting my own house. For the next few weeks, I watched everything quietly. Emily started dressing better to run errands. She started taking longer showers. She started going to bed with her phone under her pillow. And every time I entered a room, she would lower her screen or suddenly change the subject. I wanted to believe there was another explanation. Stress. Or maybe I was becoming paranoid. But deep down, a man knows when he is being replaced before anyone says it out loud. The worst part was not even Emily. It was Ryan. Ryan had been my best friend since college. He was the guy who stood beside me at my wedding. The man who hugged me after my father's surgery. The man I trusted with my house keys, my business ideas, and my life. So when I saw his name flash across Emily's phone at 11:47 p.m., something inside me went cold. She was asleep. Her phone buzzed again. I did not open it. I just stared at the name. Ryan. My best friend. The next morning, I asked her casually, "Have you talked to Ryan lately?" She did not even blink. "Not really," she said. Why? That was the first lie I caught. But it was not the last. A few days later, Ryan came over for dinner. He laughed too loud. Emily avoided looking at him. And when I left the kitchen to grab something from the garage, I stopped just outside the door. I heard his voice drop. "You need to be more careful." Then Emily whispered, "He suspects something." Ryan laughed softly. "Let him. He won't do anything." I stood there with my hand on the garage door. And in that moment, something changed in me. I did not storm in. I did not yell. I did not break anything. I simply stepped back, took a slow breath, and understood the truth. They did not just betray me. They underestimated me. For 3 weeks, I became the calmest man in the room. Emily thought I was tired. Ryan thought I was weak. My parents thought I was overworking. But every night after Emily went to sleep, I started collecting pieces. Hotel receipts. Bank transfers. Deleted messages recovered from an old shared tablet. A parking garage photo from a private investigator I hired after selling my motorcycle. I hated every second of it. Every new piece of evidence felt like a knife going in slowly. But I kept going. Because I was not just preparing for divorce. I was preparing for the moment when every liar in my life would be forced to stand in the light. When I finally confronted Emily, it was a Friday evening. She came home wearing the black dress I bought her for our anniversary. The same dress she told me was too nice for regular nights. I was sitting at the kitchen table. In front of me was a black folder. She froze when she saw it. "What is that?" she asked. I looked at her for a long moment. Then I said, "The truth." Her face changed before I opened the folder. That told me everything. I placed the first photo on the table. Then the second. Then the hotel receipt. Then the bank statement. Then the messages. Emily covered her mouth. "Please," she whispered. That word made me laugh quietly. Not because it was funny. Because I remembered all the nights I had begged God to be wrong. "Please what?" I asked. "Please don't show anyone? Please don't leave? Please pretend my best friend didn't crawl into my marriage like a thief?" She started crying. "I made a mistake." "No," I said. "You made a routine." She sat down like her legs had given up. Then came the sentence I would never forget. "Ryan said you would forgive me." I looked at her. And for the first time in years, I saw the woman I married clearly. Not as my wife. Not as my future. Just as someone who gambled everything because she thought I would be too loyal to walk away. That night, I packed one bag and left. By Sunday morning, my phone was full of messages. Emily called 17 times. Ryan texted me once. "Brother, let's talk like men." I almost replied. Then I remembered what he had said in my kitchen. He won't do anything. So I did nothing. Not yet. On Monday I filed for divorce. On Tuesday, Emily ran to my parents. That was when the second betrayal happened. My mother called me crying. How could you abandon your wife like this? I stood outside my office listening in silence. She made a mistake, my mother said. Marriage is about forgiveness. I asked her one question. Did she tell you who it was? My mother went quiet. Then she said, that doesn't matter. But it did matter. Because Ryan was not a stranger. Ryan had eaten at our table. Ryan had been in our family photos. Ryan had called my father sir, and helped my mother carry groceries. But somehow I was the cruel one because I refused to clean up the mess they made. My father called me later that night. His voice was cold. You are acting emotional. Don't destroy your marriage over pride. I said, Dad, she cheated with Ryan. He sighed. Then be the bigger man. I looked at the wall in front of me, and something inside me finally shut off. I said, I have been the bigger man my whole life. Now I'm going to be the free one. After that, I stopped explaining myself. Emily moved back in with her parents temporarily. Ryan disappeared from our friend group. My parents stopped inviting me to Sunday dinner. People whispered. Some said I was heartless. Some said I had probably been neglecting her. Some said a good man should fight for his marriage. No one asked what Emily had done. No one asked what Ryan had stolen. So I waited. Because the truth always has a way of knocking louder when people try to bury it. 3 months later, Emily's father invited everyone to a family anniversary dinner. I was not invited. But my younger sister Claire called me that afternoon. They're going to talk about you tonight, she said. I already knew. Emily had been telling people I abandoned her during a difficult emotional period. Ryan had told mutual friends I was unstable and jealous. My parents had started repeating the story because it was easier than admitting they defended the wrong person. So I told Claire, put your phone on the table tonight. What? Just put it on the table. Speaker on. Don't say my name. That evening, while everyone sat around pretending to be noble, Emily's mother asked, did he ever apologize for leaving you? Emily sniffled dramatically. No, she said. He just threw everything away. My father said, my son has always had a temper. That one hurt. Then Ryan spoke. I did not know he would be there. But when I heard his voice through Claire's phone, I smiled for the first time all week. He never deserved her anyway, Ryan said. That was enough. I told Claire, now. She picked up her phone. Everyone went quiet. Then my voice came through the speaker. Ryan. Since you believe I never deserved my wife, maybe you can explain why you were meeting her at the Riverside Hotel every Thursday while I was working double shifts to pay for the house she said she wanted. Silence. Complete silence. Then Emily gasped. Ryan said, what the hell is this? I continued. Maybe you can also explain the messages where you told her I was too weak to leave. Or the transfer she made from our joint account to cover your business debt. Someone dropped a glass. My mother whispered, what? I said, Claire has the folder. Photos, receipts, messages, everything. Before anyone calls me cruel again, read it. Then I hung up. I did not need to hear the explosion. I had lived in the wreckage long enough. The next morning, my mother came to my apartment. Her eyes were swollen. She looked older than I had ever seen her. I didn't know, she said. I wanted to say something sharp. I wanted to ask why she did not ask. Why she chose Emily's tears over my silence. Why a son had to prove pain before his own mother believed him. But I was tired. So I said, you didn't want to know. She cried harder. My father came 2 days later. He did not cry. Men like my father rarely do. He just stood in my doorway holding the folder Claire had given him. I was wrong, he said. Those 3 words sounded like they cost him everything. I nodded. But I did not hug him. Not because I hated him. Because forgiveness is not a door people get to kick open after they helped lock you outside. Then Ryan's life started falling apart. His fiancée found out. His investors found out. His company partners found out about the money Emily transferred. He called me 5 times in one night. I finally answered. His voice was shaking. Man, please. You're ruining my life. I looked out the window at the city lights. No, I said. I only stopped protecting your lies. He cursed at me. Then he begged. Then he said the same thing Emily said. I made a mistake. I laughed softly. It was strange how cheaters always use the same language. Mistake. Weak moment. Confusion. But nobody accidentally books a hotel room. Nobody accidentally deletes messages. Nobody accidentally looks a loyal man in the face and smiles while lying. A mistake is taking the wrong exit. What they did was a choice. A year later, the divorce was finalized. Emily got less than she expected. Ryan got sued by his own partners. My parents slowly tried to rebuild a relationship with me, but I never let it return to what it was before. Some things can heal and still leave a scar. As for me, I sold the house. The house Emily wanted. The house I almost killed myself working to afford. With that money, I bought a small place near a lake 2 hours outside the city. Nothing fancy. A wooden porch. A quiet road. A view of the water. The first morning I woke up there, I made coffee and sat outside while the sun came up. For the first time in a long time, no phone was buzzing. No one was lying in the next room. No one was making me feel crazy for noticing the truth. It was just me, the lake, and the silence. But this time the silence did not scare me. It belonged to me. 3 weeks later, Emily showed up. I saw her car before she knocked. She looked thinner, tired, different. For a second, I remembered the woman I married. Then I remembered the woman who let everyone call me cruel while she hid behind tears. She stood on my porch holding a phone in both hands. "I heard Ryan is in trouble," she said. I did not answer. "My parents won't help me anymore." "Your parents barely speak to me. I don't know what to do." She looked at me like I was still the man who fixed things. The man who paid bills. The man who forgave too fast. The man who carried everyone else's consequences. "I need help," she whispered. I took one slow sip of coffee. Then I said, "So did I." Her eyes filled with tears. "Please don't be cold." I looked past her at the lake. The water was calm, peaceful, honest. Then I said the words I had been waiting a year to say. "I'm not cold, Emily. I'm free." I closed the door gently. No yelling. No revenge speech. No dramatic ending. Just a door closing on the life that almost destroyed me. People think revenge is about making someone suffer. It is not. Real revenge is becoming unreachable. It is sleeping peacefully while the people who betrayed you finally meet the consequences they created. It is rebuilding so quietly that when they come back looking for the version of you they broke, they find a stranger who no longer needs their apology. Emily lost a husband. Ryan lost a brother. My parents lost the right to call my pain pride. And me? I lost everything I thought I needed. Then I found myself that I thought closing that door would be the end. I thought Emily would finally understand that there was nothing left for her in my life. No more chances. No more explanations. No more late-night phone calls where she cried just enough to make me feel guilty. But people who build their lives on manipulation do not stop because you say no. They stop only when no one is left to believe them. 2 days after Emily showed up at my lake house, my mother called me. I almost did not answer. But some part of me still remembered being a son before I became a man protecting his peace. So I picked up. Her voice was soft. "Emily came by yesterday." I looked out at the lake from my porch. The water was dark under the evening sky. "And?" "She looked terrible," my mother said. "She said she has nowhere to go." I closed my eyes. There it was. The same old trap. A woman cries, and suddenly every man around her is expected to forget what she did. "She has parents," I said. "She said they're tired of helping her." "Then they learned faster than you did." My mother went quiet. I knew that hurt her. But the truth was not supposed to be comfortable. "Son," she said carefully, "I am not asking you to take her back." "Good. I just think, maybe you could help her one last time." I laughed once. Not because it was funny. Because betrayal has a way of returning dressed as responsibility. "One last time," I repeated. That's what she called it when she needed money for her car. One last time when she said her brother needed help. One last time when she cried after I found the hotel receipt. Everything was always one last time. My mother said nothing. So I continued. "She did not need help when she was lying to me. She did not need help when she let you and Dad call me cruel. She did not need help when Ryan was in my house eating my food and laughing behind my back." My voice stayed calm. That was what scared people now. Not my anger. My peace. "I am done being the emergency exit for people who set the fire themselves," I said. Then I hung up. That night I sat on the porch until midnight. I wanted to feel guilty. I expected guilt to come. But it did not. Only sadness. Because sometimes healing is not loud. Sometimes it is just realizing that the people you loved can be in pain and still not be your responsibility anymore. The next week Ryan sent me an email. No subject. Just a long message full of excuses. He said he had been jealous of me for years. Jealous of my marriage. Jealous of my discipline. Jealous that my parents respected me. That part almost made me laugh. He said Emily made him feel important. He said it just happened. He said he lost everything. His fiancée left him. His partners were suing him. His reputation was dead. Then at the bottom he wrote, I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I need you to tell people I'm not a monster. I stared at that sentence for a long time. Then I replied with one line. You are not a monster, Ryan. You are just finally being seen clearly. I never heard from him again. But Emily was not done. A month later, I received a letter from her lawyer. She wanted to reopen part of the divorce settlement. She claimed I had emotionally pressured her into agreeing too quickly. I sat in my kitchen holding that letter, smiling like a tired man who had finally seen the last trick coming. This time I did not panic. I called my lawyer. He listened quietly, then said, She is desperate. I know. Do you still have everything? I looked at the black folder in the cabinet. The same folder everyone once said was cruel. Yes, I said. Everything. The hearing lasted less than 20 minutes. Emily arrived in a gray coat, looking pale and fragile. Her lawyer tried to paint me as cold, controlling, vindictive. Then my lawyer presented the timeline. The hotel records. The money transfers. The messages. The lies told to my family. The statements from Ryan's former business partners. Emily stopped looking fragile after that. She just looked exposed. The judge denied her request. Completely. When we walked out of the courtroom, she followed me down the hallway. Do you hate me? She asked. I stopped. For a moment I looked at her. Really looked at her. The woman I once planned a future with. The woman I imagined growing old beside. The woman whose name used to feel like home. And I realized something. Hate would have meant she still had space inside me. No, I said. I don't hate you. Her eyes softened like she thought that meant something. Then I finished. I just don't carry you anymore. She broke down crying in the hallway. I walked away. That was the last time I saw her in person. Months passed. Life became quiet again. Real quiet. The kind that feels strange at first because your body is used to chaos. I built a small dock behind the house. I adopted a black dog from a shelter and named him Duke. He had scars on one ear and did not trust anyone at first. I understood him. Every morning he followed me to the water while I drank coffee. Every evening he slept near the door like he was guarding a kingdom. My kingdom was small. A porch. A lake. A dog. A life nobody could enter without permission. And for the first time that was enough. My parents kept trying. My mother sent messages every Sunday. My father called once a month. At first I answered rarely. Then slowly, carefully I allowed small conversations. Not because they deserved instant forgiveness, but because I refused to let betrayal turn me into stone. Still I made rules. No Emily. No excuses. No rewriting history. If they wanted to be in my life they had to stand in the truth. One Sunday my father drove out to the lake. He brought 2 coffees and sat beside me on the porch. For a while neither of us said anything. Then he looked at the water and said, I failed you. I did not answer quickly. The old me would have comforted him. The old me would have said it was okay. But it was not okay. So I let the silence do its job. Finally I said, yes, you did. He nodded. His jaw tightened. I thought I was teaching you to save your marriage, he said. But I was really teaching you to abandon yourself. That was the first honest thing he had said in a long time. I looked at him. I needed my father, I said. Not her lawyer. His eyes filled, but he did not look away. I know. That day did not fix everything. Real damage does not disappear because someone finally says the right words. But it was a beginning. And this time beginnings had boundaries. A year after the divorce, Claire invited me to her engagement dinner. I almost said no. Family gatherings still felt like rooms full of old ghosts. But she had stood by me when nobody else did. So I went. The dinner was small. Just close family. No Emily. No Ryan. No fake smiles. At one point Claire raised her glass. To my brother, she said. Everyone looked at me. I shook my head, uncomfortable. But she continued. For surviving what everyone else refused to see. The table went quiet. My mother started crying. My father stared down at his plate. I did not know what to say. So I simply lifted my glass. Not to the past. Not to revenge. To survival. Later that night as I was leaving, my mother stopped me outside. I used to think forgiveness meant letting people back in, she said. I looked at her. What do you think now? She wiped her eyes. I think sometimes forgiveness means accepting that someone may never trust you the same way again. I nodded. That's closer. She smiled sadly. Then she hugged me. This time I let her. Not because everything was healed. Because I was. A few weeks later, I heard from an old mutual friend that Emily had moved to another city. Brian had left too. Nobody knew where exactly. People stopped talking about them. That was the thing about scandals. At first, everyone wants details. Then life moves on. But the person who was betrayed has to rebuild in the silence after everyone else gets bored. And I did. Board by board. Morning by morning. Boundary by boundary. One evening I found the black folder while cleaning my office. The photos were still inside. The receipts. The messages. The proof that once felt like the only thing keeping me sane. I sat at my desk for a long time. Then I carried the folder outside to the fire pit. Duke followed me, his tail moving slowly. I opened the folder one last time. Not to remember the pain. To thank the man who collected it. The man who stayed quiet when they called him weak. The man who chose patience over rage. The man who turned betrayal into freedom. Then I dropped the folder into the fire. The pages curled. The photos blackened. The past became smoke. And I felt nothing but peace. That night I sat on the porch as the flames died behind me. The lake was still. Duke rested his head on my foot. My phone buzzed once. A message from an unknown number. I'm sorry for everything. I hope one day you can forgive me. Emily. I read it twice. Then I deleted it. Not because I was angry. Because some apologies arrive too late to deserve a place in your life. I looked at the lake, took a breath, and smiled. For years I thought losing Emily was the worst thing that ever happened to me. I was wrong. Losing her was the beginning of getting myself back. And that is the part nobody tells you about betrayal. At first it destroys your world. Then, if you survive it, it reveals which parts of that world were never really yours. The wife who cheated was not mine. The friend who betrayed me was not my brother. The parents who doubted me were not allowed to define me. And the man they thought would break? He became someone they could no longer reach. That was my revenge. Not shouting. Not begging. Not chasing justice from people who had already shown me who they were. My revenge was waking up every morning in a life they could not enter. My revenge was peace. And peace, I learned, is the one thing betrayal can never steal unless you keep handing it over.